Welcome back to Bayou Time. I'm Jacob Dagate, and it's now my pleasure to be joined by Lafourche Parish President Archie Chaisson, who's here to talk a little bit about the surge the next surge. I think this is the fourth surge we've had with COVID so far. Thank you very much for joining us, President.
Hey, Jacob, thanks for having us, man. It's good to see you.
All right. Can you tell us where Lafourche is at with the latest numbers with this fourth surge and the Delta variant?
Yeah, like we've seen everywhere, Jacob, this thing is kind of kicking our butts again. Fourth surge, third time too many. But our weekly positivity rate rose again. We saw a slight drop last week. We went from 17.6 to 17.1, which I was hoping was hopefully the start of a trend. But when we got our numbers today, we had kind of rose back to 17 and a half. So a slight increase. Our case count today was 193, which was kind of a big blow. We got to the point where we were in the single digits for a couple of months there. So seeing those case counts increase that much are kind of, still a little out there for us. And then we still have 75 people in the hospital. Luckily, that's a drop of a few patients from yesterday. So that's a positive trend. But, when you look at the hospitalizations, Jacob, we're seeing that trend where it's still the 30 to 70 year olds are making up the bulk of that. We had some pediatric patients, but those numbers have never really gotten truly high here across the parish. I think we topped out, and I'm kind of looking at my screen while I'm talking to you, kind of topped out at about 15, and we've dropped since then with daily admits for pediatrics. So that's a positive thing, especially as our kids are going back to school. But even that 18 to 19-year-old range for college kids, or the 18 to 20-year-old range, is not significantly high. It's that 30 to 70-year-old gap that seems to be the bulk of what we're seeing. So we still encourage everybody, if you haven't gotten the vaccine yet, go ahead and do that. That's the easiest way that we can get through that. We've talked about personal stories, my own personal story about why I took it. We've talked about the science behind it and how the government developed it so quickly. And I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, a lot of people who are, believers in the ivermectin or no vaccine or herd immunity. But look, at the end of the day, it's kind of like the flu shot, right? It's going to help protect you should you get it. Not a complete guarantee you won't get it, but the likelihood of you having a significant stay in the hospital or significant death because of it is tremendously lowered with the vaccine. So that's still our best effort. So we still continue to encourage everybody. You talk to your local doctor. If you have health conditions, if there's other things you're worried about, talk to your OBGYN if you're worried about fertility. Talk to your pediatric if you're one of those people who have a kid who's in that 12-year-old and above age range that could qualify for that. Talk to your doctor, the people who you trust. Don't believe everything you see on social media and the old adage that if it's on Facebook, it's got to be true, because we know that just ain't so. So that's a kind of the best thing to do is talk to your trusted professional, your local doc. And if it's right for you, then let's go ahead and do it. And if you still have apprehensions after that, then look, at the end of the day, this is still America and you have that right. But we still encourage everybody to do it because it's the easiest way to help us get through this.
All right. Now, you did mention hospitalizations, but how is the ICU bed count, I guess, in Lafourche Parish at the different hospitals? Are those filled up or are they near capacity?
I think they're not all completely full. We had this discussion, and I went on a limb late last week where we talked about, how all the ICU beds were full, but they were not all COVID patients, right? At that point, we had 30 staffed ICU beds, 15 of them were COVID, 15 were other things, heart attacks, strokes, post-ops, things like that. So I think we're pretty darn close to capacity. When we talked to our hospital CEOs last week, they told us that, right? They were pushing the brim of where they could be staff-wise and how many beds they could staff. But again, I don't think at the end of the day, while that's a bad thing and it's horrible that all the beds are full, COVID is not the only thing filling those beds. So we are pushing the brink, and again, that's a horrible thing, but we're doing okay. And I'm trying to look at my screen and see if there's an updated ICU count, but there's not. So, like I said, talking with our hospital CEOs and seeing things come across from our partners at the governor's office of Homeland Security, we're pretty close to pushing that gap of being at that full stage again.
Sure. Now, I know you look after, of course, all the citizens in the parish, but you also have the parish workers out there that you take care of or look after. Have you seen throughout the course of this COVID any, I guess, breakouts that you've had to deal with concerning with the parish workers?
Yeah, we've kind of had the rash of it. It went through during the height of COVID when we came back last year. We had a run of it. In our Head Start department, we've dealt with it in Public Works, of course, because that's our biggest kind of congregate settings, right? Our guys in our field offices, our teachers, and Head Start. Luckily, those two things have kind of corrected itself. We do still have a sporadic employee here or there who's out with it. Our animal shelter was hit with it this last week with either people who had it or we had to quarantine because before they tested positive, we kind of mingled with it. Our office staff within Public Works has had to deal with it, and unfortunately, we've lost a few people. I met with an employee today who, unfortunately, on Monday lost his wife. So I went to visit with him and his two kids, who I know really well. Went to high school with him, so I've known the family for a long time. But it's touched every facet of our lives here. Not only personally with people I know who've had it and we've lost, but just people within our organization who's either lost family members, spouses, things like that. So it's touched every part of our organization.
Sure, certainly has. And I guess the thing, again, to reiterate out there, the only way out, I guess I see, is the more people that get vaccines, I think, or more people, get that immunity. But thank you very much for joining us. We certainly appreciate you giving us an update on it.
Anytime, Jacob. Thanks.
All right, stay tuned for more right here on HTV. We'll continue to give an updated case count and more on the coronavirus.